Attention, please. The show starts
right here, right now.
Well, we back with another episode of Hawg HQ Live. This is episode 17 or 17 for my bilingual family. You love it, don't you? I know you love it. So look, today we got a special guest. We're going to, hold on. This one over here, this is Matt. This one down there, yeah, that's Adam. And right here, yeah, that's Marcus MC Carlton from inside the Hawg Pen. Marcus, thank you for joining us this evening.
Hey guys, I appreciate the opportunity to come on with the big dogs.
It sounds good, don't it? I like it. I like it. Hey, look, so we in the Brady Bunch. We're in the Brady Bunch format tonight. But like I said, we're excited to have Marcus on the show. He's going to chat with us on all topics, but specifically, he got some things for us on basketball. So we're going to dive right into it. You got something for me, Adam? And once again, the men's and women's Arkansas track and field team, what?
Men's didn't. They were national runner-up.
They did the runner-up thingy, but still.
I knew where you were going.
You know where I was going. So the women did, and they was their 50th championship.
It was track's 50th, yeah, overall.
Yeah, overall. So at the end of the day, we're going to end this debate, and I keep saying it in the group, but nobody wants to join in with me. We are a track school, guys. I mean, just think about it. I understand how this works. If you grew up playing baseball, you want us to be a baseball school. You believe that we're a baseball school. If you play football or you love members from football, you feel like we're a football school. If you love basketball, know the Richardson Championship, then you consider us a basketball school. But I will say this to you. If you have a conversation with any other member of the SEC, this is one conversation you can't lose. Nobody remembers what you did last year in football. Hell, you don't want to remember, okay?
No.
We had some pretty good years of basketball recently. At the end of the day, track is where it's at. That's 50. We have 50? We got 50 championships altogether in other sports, but I'm just saying. Overall, that's a consistent, competitive sport that we compete in championships for. And at the end of the day, what does Herm Edwards say? You play to win the game. It's all about championships, baby. It's all about hardware. So, once again, we are a track school. I wish you would jump on board. It'll make you feel a lot better. The whole thing, I thought about an analogy, guys.
Well,
People like to hold on. And Dave Van Horn has #1 class. Again, we're going back to Omaha. We got another bowl game in football. Muss is headed to It's like being in a relationship, guys. It's like being in a relationship with somebody. And as much as you love these people, they keep letting you down. But you keep going back. But yet still, you got good old faithful over here that you're not really worried about, but they shining every time you see them. Don't hurt yourself, guys. It's a track school. Just take it. It's okay. It's okay. What you guys got on the track?
I mean, you basically said everything. People want to. It's not the top sport, so people don't want to give it the clout that it deserves. Fact of the matter is you haven't won anything in basketball since '94, football since '64. You know, we hear all day long in these groups and in these comments and everywhere else that, well, I've been a fan since this year. I've been a fan since that year. Great. It's not my fault I was born when I was. But in my lifetime, basketball happened and tracks happened.
True.
So,
and even when you drive into Razorback Road, when you turn into the campus, it's triple crown. It's all banners celebrating track and field. At the end of the day, that's one of the first things you notice. You don't see Nola Richardson National Championship. You don't see Houston Nutt great seasons. You don't see a Damn McFadden statue. Okay, and I know we love those sports, and hopefully they can get to that level at some point. But as of right now, I'm going to personally say we're a track school. All right. So, basketball. Basketball season has ended, regular season.
but you were
And of course, we had the debacle to Alabama Crimson Tide.
Damn, you skipping ahead.
No, it say basketball.
Then it said, what's it say underneath it?
Basketball, men. Yeah.
You want to go on? You want to go on the Mike Neighbors rant first?
I was trying not to. And before I say this,
Well, because we had a conversation the other night that was pretty heated.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And not in a bad way. But
No, just
yeah, we was on the same page. I made a comment. Somebody posted, I think you posted in the group about the final for the game, right?
yeah, and I said the countdown is on or whatever.
Right. So everyone, I want to say, is the university's page where they put out some video about every game he puts. I said, hey, your days are counted, buddy. Your days are numbered, buddy. It's going to be over. This is your last season. And I made a comment in our page and said something about Ned Flanders need to get out of here. It's over. Pack your bag. And some dude in the group, if you watching, he comes in and says, hey, man, name calling? That's where we're going? I was like, I really want to say, mind your damn business and get off my damn comment. But I let it ride. So look, at the end of the day, what do you guys got on ladies basketball and possibly Coach Neighbors' departure or not?
MC, you want to take this one?
I'm kind of torn on this because I had made a tweet the other night talking about the Neighbors farewell tour or something after Ole Miss beat them by 44 or whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, embarrassing. First off, we shouldn't lose to Ole Miss by 44 in any damn sport. I'm sorry. Right. You can't. I can't get on board with that. And then I had somebody reply to me, and he actually made a really good point. I don't remember who it was now, but otherwise I'd give the guy credit. But he said, you don't fire a guy who's above 500 in a non-revenue sport, which, okay, I kind of see that point. But if you're going to take the sport seriously, you can't stay and spin your wheels like Neighbors has done. And I honestly kind of feel like Neighbors has underachieved with some of the talent that he's had. Mm-hmm. The team that went in to the NCAA tournament a couple years ago was a 3 seed and got beat in the first round. I mean, I feel like that team was built to make a deep run, and here they go and they choke it out in the first round. Mm-hmm. Last year, debacle. I think they go WNIT, which, the women's not important tournament. So, that's where you end up there. And then this year, they're probably going to make another appearance in the women's not important tournament. So, I mean, I think you got to make a change. If you're going to take this sport seriously, you make a change. If you're not going to take it seriously, then you keep him and you keep falling further and further behind to the likes of LSU and South Carolina and Ole Miss and, Texas is coming in. They're going to be in front of you too. I think Vic Schaefer's still over there. So you got to Hunter Yurchek's got a decision to make. Are we going to take this seriously or are we just going to exist?
Adam, you said something about he has an extension.
No, well, he's got 2 more years. He's got 2 more years left on this contract, 2 more seasons. His contract's through the 25-26 season. I know last April it would have been $1.9 million buyout. So I think this one it's down to around 1.2 million. Part of me feels like that they're going to let him ride it out those last 2 seasons. That's just what you and me talked about the other night on the phone. In my opinion, our opinion, he needs to be let go. The majority of men coaching in women's basketball, it's fading away. I think there's a lot of, what did you say, arrogance that comes with it.
Yeah,
on the men's side.
A lot of arrogance and ego. It's really ego.
Yeah. And I think we were both on the same page that honestly they should try to court Vanderbilt's coach.
Yeah.
But I think it's just one of those things that's not working. Finishing 18-14, whatever they're going to finish. I mean, it's just one of those things that last year I think he would have been fired after the Missouri game if they hadn't have won in the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those that you were 1 game away from in a conference tournament of getting fired, and here we are in a worse state than we were last year.
Yeah. You said the Vanderbilt coach. I also threw out there Satia Messer, who was a former Ladyback. And like I said, what I'm realizing is across all sports, I'm recognizing a lot of former players are at least on staff, if not returning to be a coach. So I'm like, that's one thing I realized we really missed. And when we do find someone, it's really not that we had Jimmy Dykes.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm just looking like, look, let's just try to find a woman that is qualified for the job. I think she is the relatability is a lot bit better. At the end of the day, I can't knock Neighbors for his recruiting. So even the players who left the state that he ended up bringing in through the portal, I feel like he's done a great job in that regard of recruiting. It's just putting all the talent together and getting them on the floor, keeping them on your roster, having a deep bench, having a presence in the paint, those type of things. Rumor Rustin Riffle headed back to Northwest Arkansas could be the women's basketball coach. Rustin Riffle. Somebody give me some background on Rustin Riffle. I'm not familiar. Matt,
Well,
you got anything on it?
I was just going to say, to your point of former players, I mean, you have Chelsea Dungy coaching down at Troy. You know, why wouldn't she want to come up here?
And that's
Has
recent.
she even been asked? I mean, there's multiple things
Right.
that come along with that.
Yeah, I think we could do a revamp. That's all.
Rustin Rifle, I think, is Scotty Thurman.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's who they're talking about.
That's who they're talking
about.
And
just spelled it wrong.
Well, and the
Scotty
thing
is a women's coach. I don't know.
Here's the thing, too, with Scotty Thurman that a lot of people don't know about because this goes down to the high school level. But Northside's basketball coach, former basketball coach, Coach Burnett, Eric Burnett, left after last year or before the school year and to become either athletic director or assistant athletic director in Springdale. And Scotty Thurman was number one on the list to replace him. And he turned it down. So, you know, it was one of those things that Northside swung for the fences and didn't get it. I think their coach they got, Mackenzie Pierce, was out of like Blytheville or something.
Yeah, he was coach over at Blytheville, had gone to he made it all the way to the state finals and then lost to Little Rock Christian last year.
So that's one of those things that I mean, Scotty Thurman's name is coming up in high school coaching. I'm just not sure about college.
Yeah.
You know, if we go about women's basketball, and yes, this is a male coach, but you know, I know years ago Arkansas should have pulled the trigger on getting Ricky Smith from Northside because you know he was being courted by Tennessee with Pat Summitt and turned it down.
Correct.
But you know, it's one of those things that they're set in their ways, and I think it's one of those that he's probably towards the end of his coaching career. So.
Yeah, we also chatted upon the last male that I remember that was a great coach. Gary Blair.
Gary Blair.
Yeah.
And the thing that we was talking about, the whole ego situation with having middle-aged coaches, Gary Blair was on the back end of his career. He was very patient, right? He was very basketball, I wouldn't say was in transition to the point, but he was very patient. He was all about developing players. And those are things that matter. And at the end of the day, to our point about Coach Neighbors, we let him go. He went right to Texas A&M and won the national championship. So it's one of those things. It's a toss-up. Got you. What you got, Adam? You just.
No, I mean, no. I was reading the comments on my phone.
Gotcha.
Because you know, people still haven't taken the tips on making themselves known, so they're not Facebook users.
Gotcha. Mike Neighbors is hey.
I mean, call it what it is.
Yeah, that's your comment, not mine.
So what do y'all think about the comment there about get Joe Foley from Little Rock?
Where's
I'd be all for it.
It's right below Loki DeWitt's comment.
Okay, so he might be a Little Rock lifer. I don't know.
I mean, he may. I think if I remember correctly, I think his name came up when Neighbors was hired. But I mean, it's been a few years ago, and I've slept since then. But Foley has. If you look at what he's done at Little Rock, he took that program that was. I mean, could you even say there was a foundation there? I mean, really. it was just existing, and he's turned it into a perennial winner. But then you go back to the argument of, do you want an older dude leading your women's program, or do you go with the youth movement and try to find, a hot assistant somewhere, and I mean hot, but like hot name, not
I was
like
gonna say,
sexy,
clarify.
but I
Please
mean that'd be
clarify.
okay too. But you know,
Right.
I mean if we got some eye candy on the sideline, that'd be okay.
Right.
But you know, it's the argument that this is why Hunter Yurchek gets paid the big bucks to go make this decision. Do you get an established name, or do you go with the youth movement and you hire somebody based on potential?
Well, and that goes kind of hand in hand with what DP and I talked about on the phone the other night, which we'll get to when we get down to spring practice.
Right.
But it's where does Arkansas as a whole, so we're talking football, women's basketball, you know, do they need to accept what they are and what they have been and go after the coach? I mean, basically do like what Arkansas State did for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
You had Hugh Freeze, you had Gus Malzahn, et cetera, et cetera. Go get these coaches from the lower levels that are hot, and then somewhere bigger than Arkansas State, like Arkansas, I feel like in the SEC, they're going to feel a little bit more like they owe the school, the city, the state something to stick around longer than an Arkansas State would have a coach.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of ego in that also to accept the
100%.
fact of where you're at compared to the other schools.
Right. So it sounds like overall between the four of us, we may be mixed, or it may be a little bit 3-1 or 2-2 in regards to Neighbor's future. I guess we'll see in the WNIT, see what type of results we can get, and see what will come of that after the season concludes. Hey, Adam, is it time for the men's segment of basketball?
I mean,
that's what it says on the side.
I mean that's what it's there for.
Yeah, I got you. All right. So at the end of the day, final season, senior day, Tuscaloosa basketball. I gave you a call. It was halftime, and I said, I've been missing the first half. What we looking like? And then I looked up and I said, "What? Wait a minute! I'm looking. These boys showing out." You was like, I think we were about 15 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So they were playing a great game. Shout out to Mitchell. Mitchell just keeps doing what he does. He just keeps being effective. His plus and minus has been off the charts the last couple of games. In this particular situation, he didn't score a lot of points, but his presence in the paint got the attention of the refs and got a couple of calls to go our way. So in that regard, it's amazing how nobody remembered those calls and how the Bama fans were fussing when Arkansas was getting calls. And then all of a sudden, it seems like after the game ended in overtime, it was a lot of conversation about calls that did not get called.
Dun, dun, dun.
Me, I was very vocal about it. I'll own it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of like we were talking about before the show started. My main problem with it, the dunk, you know, that, you know, we'll probably show it here in a little bit. My main problem with it was if that, and I would lay money on this that I don't have, if that specific play happens at any point earlier in the game, not only is there a whistle, but they're going to review it to look and see if there's a flagrant. But because of when it happened and surrounding everything that had happened up to that point, the referees, they were not hungry after the game because they swallowed that damn whistle all the way down to their stomach. So, I mean, it was just that's what got me. All I asked for is consistency in officiating, and that there were calls made on both teams earlier in the game that didn't have 10% of the contact that call made. And that's just what, you know, just makes me want to blow my lid and be the old man yelling at the cloud.
Yeah. The thing that was interesting to me, the no call on Mitchell's dunk was crazy. Yeah. So what was interesting to me, and two things can be true at the same time. I definitely agree, MC, with what you were saying.
Yeah.
But I also look at it and say, guys, we went to overtime.
Yep.
Now, my question is, when it came to end of regulation, could we possibly have taken the ball in the paint and got fouled? So to me, I feel like I can't give, if we were talking about 100%, 50%, I don't know where I can really go in regards to blaming the ref, because I'm not a blame the ref guy. I feel like you have to take the game out of the ref's hand in any sport.
Yep.
And I feel like you had the ability while you was up and maintain a lead to finish the game and win it. So that's the other side of it. Once again, two things can be true at the same time, but that's just my take in regards to watching the game. Matt, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much echo everything y'all said. I missed the first half of it too. I caught it towards the end of the second half and overtime. But yeah, It's just tough always seeing calls that don't go your way, and especially when they're against Alabama or Auburn, just those type of schools. We usually, in those crucial situations, you usually feel like you don't get the benefit of the call. But I feel like it was a good effort for the most part. They did go away from attacking the rim some, and that's ultimately what cost them, because that's our bread and butter. We can't shoot threes. I mean, Battle can. That's about it. Maybe Davenport here and there. But other than that, we just got to attack to the rim and get away from it in key moments, and it bites you.
Adam, what you got?
Well, I'm in the boat of, after looking at the video, which I'll play just here in a second. No call at the time that it happened. It was tough to say. I wasn't sure, because a lot of times when you're in a game situation and it's fast, you don't necessarily see everything till you see this at replay.
Uh-huh.
So, at first I was just like, okay, he missed a dunk. That's the way I looked at it. Mm-hmm. And then it's a whole sequence. So we're getting into, I know a few possessions before that, the ref, in my opinion, blatantly missed a walk on Alabama. Should have been a turnover. But it's one of those, you go and you look at what does your team do after that. Mm-hmm. So we saw the inerrant three instead of driving. Something that has been talked about by announcers on Caleb Battle's 4-game stretch, 5-game, or at this point, the 5-game stretch. How does he get his points? Driving to the paint. I know early in the game, they said that he was 27 to 28 at the free throw line from that point. I mean, because he's driving in, he's getting fouled, he's making shots. And so you've got Grant Nelson, who I thought fouled out 2 or 3 times. Still, I'm like, there's 3 or 4 guys in the paint. Like, somebody's going to hit you.
Right.
Just the way that the way that it has gone. I saw some people blaming Muss for Battle pulling that 3. I don't know how that works. I don't think he was yelling, shoot it from the sidelines. But blame whoever you want to blame. But for the folks that just come out and say, oh, Muss needs to be fired, Muss is done, Muss is this, Muss is that, you're pissed off in the moment. I get it. But this is one of those times where before you hit send on a tweet or a comment, read it back to yourself and just think, should I send this? Because, we're quickly forgetting what's happened the last 3 seasons.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I will, if y'all ready, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Roll it.
Yeah, this is going to be painful to watch here.
Shout out to Jeff Hanley for me stealing this from the comments.
Well, and the dish by Battle is not getting the props it deserves. That was a great dish by Battle today.
Yes.
And you
Okay. Wait a minute.
You see him come down. He gets a hand on the dunk, comes down right onto Mitchell's face. Watch Mitchell's head. His head kind of goes backwards a little bit. It's like the old JFK movie, back and to the left, back and to the left.
Mm-hmm.
There's definite contact there. And, you could see it. You could see Muss. Muss looks like a dude that's at the end of his rope in the post game, because he made the comment, he said about as much as he could say without catching a fine. Said that, yeah, there was contact there. This hasn't worked for us all year. He's like, but it's not worth sending it in because it's not going to change anything. And it's not. Right. But I want to touch on something, Adam, that you said earlier. It goes back to what you do after that play. When that play is over, you got to wipe that, man. You got to have that short memory, wipe it, and don't let that be the excuse for the rest of the game. Because even with it going to overtime and Alabama having the momentum, you're still playing arguably one of your better games of the year on the road in a tough environment, and you're right there. You got to mentally lock in, which has been the Achilles heel of this team all season long, is that they don't have the ability to mentally lock in when it's a have-to situation. That was a strong point of some of Muss's previous teams. From the time he got here, you could depend on Mason Jones, and then after that it was Isaiah Joe, and then Moses Moody, Note. Somebody was going to make a play when they had to have it, and this team, for whatever reason, they just don't have that guy that can be. And the last 4 or 5 games, it's been Battle, but I'm talking about for the whole season. They've not had that one guy that just says, give me the ball, get out of the way, or the guy that's going to go lockdown on defense and
Well,
get the stop.
Yeah, that's something we've talked about off and on this season. Is this team, for whatever reason, there's no role players or guys that'll accept their roles.
Yep, we've talked about that too.
And I look at the guys that are currently in the league from Arkansas, and you look through them. Those guys had a role. They had a specific role on these teams. Take whatever you want to take from Jordan Walsh saying that he was handcuffed when he was here. Fact is, he had a role. He played it well. But we also refer to these guys that are in the league from Arkansas is the teams that they're on now, and a lot of them are still this type of guy, but they were dogs on Arkansas.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
And they are on their teams now. I don't see that from any of these guys.
Do me a favor.
There's none of those guys right now have that dog in them, as people say.
I agree.
Hey, we can keep talking. Run that clip back. I want to show y'all something real quick.
All right.
Just looking back at it. So I know the conversation is about the foul, but can anybody explain to me how the hell you jumped that high and missed the freaking dunk? It's in the damn
That's
rim.
fair. That's fair.
See what I'm saying? Like, I understand. I understand the missed call, but dude, you're in the cylinder.
Yeah.
How?
Hey, I guess you didn't see Rudy Gobert airball and dunk last night.
I saw
Hey. Speaking of airball, I seen Lady Blocker just run real fast and miss damn layups and dunks too. So either way it go, that is what it is.
Yeah.
Before, go ahead.
No, I was just going to. Somebody asked in here, which the game's Wednesday, not Tuesday. Honestly, would you rather just lose Wednesday and be done with men's basketball for the season?
I mean, I'm not going to shed a tear over it if they lose.
Okay.
I look at the very least, go out and beat Vanderbilt because Matt, would you say they beat us 3 times in a row?
Mm-hmm.
They made you look like a fool in Bud Walton Arena a week ago, whenever it was. So why don't you go get your licks back and knock them out?
But okay, we're gonna play the what if factor. What if he made the dunk? What if the ref made the call? What if you damn lose to Vanderbilt again? Just like
after pulling the upset on Bama
them again. What then? What you end the season on that? I think you got
an Arkansas fan.
Yeah. You got to. I think you got to keep fighting. I also would feel like if you played the game and just got the season over with, or lose the game and get it over with, I think that would give a lot of clarity to Musk's future, whether he signed an extension or whatever the conversation may be.
I think that was our debate the other night.
Yeah. 2 things before we get off men's basketball. Great question here. I'm glad you asked. How many players will return next year? We talked about who we want to see next year.
So there's 7 eligible players to return. It's a matter of which of those 7 will.
Okay, do me this. If you call the names, MC, Matt, and myself, can we give a thumbs up, thumbs down on what your opinion is?
I'm about to hurt some feelings.
All right, so I'm going to give you the 6 that will not return first, just to get them out of the way, because so people don't, So gone are Jalen Graham, Mekhi Mitchell, Davenport, Ellis, Lawson, and Harris. Those are the ones that are gone.
Mm-hmm.
The ones eligible to return are.
Hold on.
Y'all ready? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Get your thumbs right. All right.
Is this want to or we think?
You want to.
That you want to.
Okay.
Devo Davis.
I'm going to quote Dave Chappelle. I wish I had more hands so I could give that 4 thumbs down.
All right. Caleb Battle. Okay. Tremont Mark. Okay, I think we're all on the same page here. Minifield.
Defensive liability to me.
I'm going to come back to him.
Hey, I'm glad you said that. Go ahead with the next couple of names.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to Minifield, but Brazil.
Same thing I said a while ago. I wish I had more hands.
Okay.
The worst part about that is that he's proven Missouri fans to be right. That's the worst part of that.
It is.
Oh, I didn't consider that, but you're right.
Joseph Pinion.
Do I want him? Yeah.
Do you think? Yeah.
Matt, no, Matt. What do you think? Come on.
Do I want him? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, I want him to play.
Now that's
But I want him to play.
Now that's interesting,
So, I
right,
mean,
Matt?
I
Because
don't
you
want
just
him to
said
sit on
about
the bench.
Minifield being a defensive liability. If Joseph
Boom. Entrapment.
Yes.
that's all I'm saying.
Yes,
I was
but
waiting. You
Minifield
trap
is
yourself into that shit.
5'7".
I don't
I'm
give a
coming-
damn how tall he is.
I'm coming back
just
to
saying.
Minifield.
If you can
I
play,
got
you
you.
can play. We know
You
Joseph Pena can play. We know he can shoot it, right? But see, and to be honest with you, I forgot the guy's name from Kentucky, number 16. When they played us, it was him and the dude Nelson from Alabama. I'm just saying what I'm saying. It's always a white dude in the corner. They can shoot damn threes, and everybody know he can shoot the threes. But they act like, oh well, he's not gonna get it. You seen what Nelson did the other day? He hit him with the pump fake, went to the rack, and got up there. That boy got skills. Same thing.
I've been saying since Pinion was at more.
About it, it's like I want to see Pinion attack the damn rim. I want to see him come out of his bag with some offensive ability other than shooting the three. I'm like, give me something, lose somebody, and just pull up for a mid range.
I don't think he's ever heard. I don't think he's ever heard of a pump fake.
But I also think you got to draw up some plays for him other than just sticking him off in the corner like he's a toy you don't want to play with.
With 10 seconds left in the game.
Something with him too, though, is which we've talked about the rotation of players, the 12, 13 deep that Muss was doing this season, and pulling people after a bad shot or a breakdown on defense. So now that you need to have Pinion, if you're going to have him, be in that 8-man rotation to where he's getting more than 30 seconds at a time.
Correct.
Because shooters are going to shoot, and you just pulling him after one play is not going to work. Back to Minifield, I don't think I would like to see Minifield return for the fact from the looking at the point guard standpoint, like we don't have any point guards.
And that's all I'm saying, Matt.
And you're bringing in Elohim and Shelley, so you've got your Muss's favorite 6'6", 6'7" small forward shooting guards. Like it's one of those that we need a point guard,
right?
I would say go to the portal, let Brazil go. You should have signed him before Bayfall got here. Which Bayfall next on the list.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So Bayfall, yes. And the conversation me and Adam had was, remember his cousin that was on campus? They ended up going to Colorado.
Saying Diop or something like that.
Yeah. We ain't heard nothing about him. You need to go check on him. Drop a duffel bag, something. But at this point, one of the conversations we had the other night was, can we get two bigs in the paint all game? All game. Two bigs. I think you can still run his system and still have two bigs. One who may be an athletic big and one may who just be a defensive presence. Somebody who can block shots, alter shots, and get rebounds. I don't know. But I feel like when we see Mitchell emerge this year, it made me think, what if his brother stayed? What if his brother stayed? Even with Brazil being out for the time that he was out, I'm like, at least would have had two bigs on the floor at the same time.
Because Jalen Graham's a black hole.
That's what Teresa say. That's what Teresa say.
And we're going to use that. Layden Blocker's the last one. We all want him to be back.
Yeah. And I think that he could help with your point guard situation if Minifield doesn't come back. But if I'm Layden Blocker, man, I don't know if I want to come back.
And that's what we've talked about, the guys that have left that were home state guys and that have made a name. Now, granted, it's taken some of them more than one school. I'm looking at KK Robinson, and even Jackson Robinson.
Well, yeah, I was going to say Jackson Robinson. I mean, dude just won 6th man of the year, and don't tell me we couldn't have used his 3-point shooting sometime this year.
And I felt like Barry Dunny, the Alabama player of the year in his state, for his junior and senior year, you mean to tell me we couldn't use him? We can use his defensive presence. So I feel like sometimes, and like I said, we don't get paid what must get paid to make decisions that he makes. If for some reason he has an understanding, whether it's somebody he wants to bring in, the chemistry is not working with who he currently has, and he gives these guys, hey, I think it might be best for you to seek other options and go elsewhere. But I just feel like those are two guys who could have made it happen. Blocker needs to leave and go somewhere like K-State where it can be a star. He won't be here. Hey, we never know. At the end of the day, I feel like we definitely need a point guard. I feel like we need somebody who's been on the squad for 2 to 3 years, who could say, "I know the system, ISO and pick and roll." That's how Mitchell been balling.
DP,
Mitchell set them screens high and rolling.
You I think you're about my age, so you're probably gonna be old enough to remember this. Muss needs to take the advice that Larry Johnson gave Nolan several years ago.
Need to go get some grown
Go
ass
get some men.
Am
We
I
need to
young
go get some
or
men.
something? I mean, I appreciate the thought.
I mean, you look young, so I
mean, I'll
younger
be 30,
than me.
I'll be 37 in a couple months.
Okay, yeah,
Oh, that's
you
cute.
young.
That's
You
great.
young dog, man. You young.
I got my
Grown
brace.
ass
I'm closing in on that milestone, man. I'm closing in on that 5-0.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, grown ass man, dog. Grown ass man.
I ain't quite there yet, but I'm
Right.
closer to that than I am anything else.
There it
So,
is. There it is.
I think Matt's probably the only one that's close to my height, so you can take your grown man stuff.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, so we dived into hey, I bet you want to take this football while I go ahead and jump into these comments because the people been timing in from inside the Hog Pen and from Hog HQ. People been timing in these comments.
love it.
We need a 6'9", 250, 260 type big to go along with a shot blocker.
A
Definitely
grown
agree.
man. Yeah.
Grown man. That we need some grown man. These little frail dudes who want to stand on the perimeter and shoot threes.
Well, and I think back to the end of last year when beat Kansas and then go and just get manhandled by UConn. I mean, you need a big dude like UConn had in the middle. You need a guy like that can just a bruiser and is just because he just moved guys out of the way and would score or get fouled or both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Brazil wants to play like Kevin Durant, so there's no point in putting him at a 4 or 5.
I agree.
Correct. Yep. Somebody said we don't run plays though. We talk about a system. We don't run plays though.
Mm-hmm. We run the weave. We run the weave.
Somebody said I actually like Menifield's I'm gonna say Menifield's defense from the red white game, but hadn't seen it on the court.
Why don't you read the comment how it's written?
That's a negative. That's a negative. That's a negative. Loki said, so you're saying we need a center? Absolutely. We need a center or we need an athletic power forward, one of the two. Yeah. So we talked about Fall. Somebody said, what about Fall? We talked about Fall. We just need somebody to put with him. And I feel like he need to get his confidence built up, seeing that basically he rode the bench all year long. So I don't know what the issue is with him. But
he's gonna be a Moses Kingsley. He's gonna be defense and a little bit more athletic, but I mean that's basically what he's gonna be running to the rim and altering shots. I mean, you may get some putbacks, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of offense.
For him to be a factor, the first thing we got to do is we got to get him off that Todd Day diet. We got to get that man some beans and potatoes and cornbread.
So
and
the guys
good
that
food
size,
that's going to put some bulk on.
Yeah, guys that size, they need to go on the Giannis workout plan. Like from where what he started in the league at to where he's at, like these guys have got to get some muscle, some meat on them.
I
but hold on, but look at this. So it's interesting we say that. You talked about Bay Fall. If you asked Adam said, I watched his film and I wasn't impressed. I mean,
no, because I watched him. So when he's at these Nike Elite games, the Summit, all that, and the McDonald's All-American game, like. He's in this game with the top 25 players in the country, and he disappears. You don't see him. He doesn't have stats, and I get it that there's other electrifying type players in this, but God, you're the tallest dude there, and you're coming out with 2 rebounds and 4 points.
Well, okay. Compare it to this. Compare what he did in those games to what guys like AB, Jordan Walsh, Moses Moody. Those guys didn't fade into the background and disappear in those All-Star games. I mean, they were right there. Matching the other dudes point for point, basically.
And that's, I mean, I just, and it's one of those things watching back in some of these guys' high school stuff. I mean, when Pinion was at Morrilton, I mean, I saw, still a guy that doesn't play defense, but he didn't have to. Right. But I saw a kid with an attitude, a little bit cocky, a little bit of an attitude. But at the same time, I don't see that same kid when I see Joseph now on the sidelines or even some of the practice videos and whatnot. Obviously the defense is still suspect, but his mentality's changed at least that, he's not the guy in the town of Morrilton versus now, he's small fish in a big pond.
Well, and let's be honest here, guys. The jump from 4A basketball in Arkansas to the SEC, I mean, man, that's a leap. That's a big leap. And that's not a knock on 4A basketball. I mean, I've seen some good dudes come out of 4A, but that's a jump, and not everybody can make that jump.
I seen a comment here that says Must needs to dip back into the NBA and get an assistant coach that relates to the kids. I feel like that's Ronnie Brewer's role, is it not?
I mean, this is Ronnie Brewer's first year as being a true assistant coach, because he's always been recruiting or player personnel, whatever title they want to give him.
So if y'all have seen me on our show any at all, I have beat this horse into the ground, and it's starting to twitch a little, so I'm gonna hit it a couple more times here.
I know where you're going.
You replace Gus Arsenal and Clay Mosier, two long-time assistants, very good track records, which, by the way, Gus Arsenal, as a head coach, won his conference this year. Congrats to him at Cal State. Bernardino, I think, is where he is.
Right.
You take those two guys that probably have 35, 40 years combined time on a bench as an assistant. You replace them with two guys who have never sat in those chairs in a game. They've never been part of the main game plan. They've never done the scouting to the level that those guys did. I mean, at the time, nobody said anything because Arkansas, we were all riding high off of upset in Kansas and everything. But I mean, this is something Zach and I have talked about a long time, is that you can't lose two assistants like that and replace it with two first-year guys and not expect some fall off. And I think this is kind of showing just how much Muss depends on those guys. I'm not saying that I'm not taking anything away from him, but he depends on those guys to fill a role in the game plan, whether it be offensive, defensive, whatever. You know, even going so far as to scouting some of these dudes that's in the portal. You know, they go out, they do the scouting, and then they come back and say, hey, I think we need to take this guy. And then Muss makes the final decision. But there's just going to be drop-off when you have first-year guys in that role just because they don't have the experience. I'm not saying they're not going to be good coaches. That's not a knock on Ronnie. That's not a knock on Little Muss. But I'm saying they're not there yet.
Yeah.
I think Little Muss was just there to pull his dad back.
I mean, that's all I've seen him do. They got
tired of Ronnie Brewer doing it because Muss was embarrassed how big Ronnie Brewer is compared to him. So they got somebody his size.
Real quick, speaking of assistant coaches, I'm going to put this out here. I don't have any sources. Nobody has talked to me. This is just what I've seen so far. I think Coach Smart leaves this year.
I do too. I agree. And I think
feel
that's
like it's somebody who
huge
leaves
blow
every year. Yeah. I feel like Coach Smart is going to be that guy this year. I think Pinions' dad will get in his ear and he will transfer. It's possible. Kalan Taylor from Farmington could help with the Razorbacks. He had 40 out of 56 points Farmington this weekend.
I think that gets back into what MC was just talking about, you know, the lower classifications and then jumping into SEC ball.
That's something that I think play several times. I mean, the kid can go, but again, you're talking about a kid that's in 4A at Farmington, and nothing against him. I've seen the kid play, man. He can go. I played against his old man in high school. Dude can go, but being able to go and being able to go at the SEC level are two different things.
Well, and that's something that I've looked at quite closely with just because of the classifications watching Northside. But one of the 25 recruits, he hadn't committed anywhere, but Aiden Chronister out of Rogers. I see that kid, you know, in conference games, he's just kind of there. He's afraid to put the ball in the court. Anytime he'll be dribbling, and anytime a guard picks him up, because he's always playing around the 3-point line, half court, whatever, he picks up the ball immediately. He is afraid of a smaller defender in front of him. He's really kind of lackadaisical when he's on the court. With that being said, flip the gears when he's playing on the New Balance circuit. I think he's in the New Balance circuit. You know, with the travel balls and everything, he's a different player. But a lot of that is because he has guys around him that are constantly running, moving, attacking. The focus isn't on him like it is at Rogers.
Right.
And I just don't see him, and I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, so be it. I just don't see him translating very well at this juncture to an SEC school.
All right. So before we move forward and go to football, so I got another comment, and then I'm going to comment on a comment. So if I'm Brewer, I'm leaving too, being outpaid by Musk's son, who was 5 years younger with no experience. Interesting comment there. And then the Scott comment, we'll come back to Scott at the end. I'm ready to
Yeah.
jump into football. If you want to chime into that,
Oh,
or
you
you
want to
want
go?
to finish
Oh,
up the
okay.
football?
I mean, so basketball kind of segues into football for Matt's post yesterday with all of this. So if we want, Matt, we can have you cue it up for us.
But Matt, before you cue it up, I'm gonna bring back something old school. Today's episode is sponsored by whoever the hell makes these chips. Yeah, look, they got the flaming hot, but now it's the ranch. And because I'm such a foodie guy, you got to mix the flaming hot. What's the flaming hot? Hold on, with the ranch. It's busting.
Why not just
Go ahead,
dip?
Matt.
Why not just dip the flaming hot in ranch?
All
Maybe
right,
I'm not a sauce guy. Maybe I'm not a sauce guy. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to football.
Go ahead.
Well, we talking about.
So okay, let's get into the Mo Hassan stuff before we get into spring practice.
Okay.
Because we'll end on spring practice and everything that we think about. Because it'll be a lot.
Basically, he made a post that was saying that the Italian mob was in with a Vandy quarterback and rigging games and whatnot, and I think they named Alabama as one of them as well or something. But I just threw it out there because I thought it was just great timing for us to get screwed by officials at Alabama. Yeah. And then, people come in and, I'm not saying it's true or not, but my whole point is because people think I'm an asshole when I disagree with someone, but my whole point was you can go look on YouTube of like Arkansas bad officiating or something like that, and there's just videos all about it, different games. We all remember the Florida game back in the day when Tim Tebow was there.
Oh yeah.
And the Florida guy trying to run and hit what was his name, Marcus Peters or somebody like that, and he just flattened the guy protecting himself. He gets the flag, and just then
even Gary Danielson called that one out.
Yes. There was a pass interference in the end zone as well. They were saying that wasn't one. And then you have a couple years ago where Bo Nix apparently you can spike the ball behind you now. Only in Alabama. But that's just that doesn't happen to other schools, as often it seems like, unless you're maybe Ole Miss or somebody like that. And that our level, you could say, but when we're playing the big dogs, we usually seem to see bad calls.
It's the big 7, little 7 theory.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's getting worse now. It's gonna be big 9, little 7.
Yeah,
but
you are chomping at the bit. I don't know what's going on.
I was reading the comments,
but
they're football comments for towards the when we get to spring practice stuff.
Gotcha.
There's just not a lot of times where we seem to benefit from calls. I mean, I'm not saying it never happens, but it's just a lot more rare than the incidents we see where there's blatant missed calls.
So not to discount Mo Hassan's, story or anything, but after you made the post and there were comments back and forth on it, and I know I've made the comments to y'all because he came out and said that he was approached by basically the Italian mob, the mafia, whatever you want to refer to him as, and was offered $300K to throw games, and he said that it's happened all over the SEC, and he named Alabama as one. But I got, I'm sitting here because I listened to part of his interview, and I'm like, why would anybody approach a Vanderbilt quarterback to throw a game? And then, because I'm just sitting here thinking Vanderbilt's down 48, and Vanderbilt's quarterback throws a pick 6, so the other team covers the spread. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Right.
So also, since Hassan was the one talking about this, I went ahead and pulled his game stats. So we can put Hassan on blast here, and y'all tell me which games he might have thrown. And let me get that up.
Yeah, this is how petty Adam is. All right.
Yes.
I appreciate like elite level pettiness. I'm
Yes.
here
Yeah.
for it.
So September 8th, 2018, Vanderbilt 41, Nevada 10. Hassan was 1 for 2 for 12 yards.
That was it.
Oh, yeah. 2 weeks later, Vanderbilt versus South Carolina. Vanderbilt lost 37-14. He was 1 for 2 for 12 yards. A couple weeks later, Vanderbilt 13, Georgia 31. 2 for 2 for 14 yards. Then next season, the only game, well, no, they beat Nevada in that, but Vanderbilt beats Missouri 21-14, and he goes his best game, 7 for 11 for 120 yards and 1 touchdown.
So let me get this understanding of what's going on for people who may not understand. You mean to tell me this dude who wasn't a starter at Vandy, who may have started or played a couple games as a backup quarterback, said he was approached by the mob, and they dropped a duffel bag on him to throw games?
Correct. And then he wants to name Alabama as being now. The way it was worded a lot of times, because they were showing Alabama like on the picture that it was attached to it. During his time at Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt never played Alabama during his time there. So he just went ahead and thought, I'm just going to name Alabama in this because why not? People are going to believe it. I mean, this is the way I looked at it. Because then after Vanderbilt, he transferred to USC and never stepped foot on the field because of a knee injury. So the guy has the stats here are his entire college stats. But he was offered $300,000 to throw games.
Well, let me just say this. On G Code, I don't respect him because he's a snitch. If this is true. What's the point of you telling now? I don't respect him. He's trash on the field. He's a trash individual for snitching on people. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the Razorbacks.
All right,
So,
going on to spring practice.
Hell yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. My man, Jimmy Mother Smith, has taken a job at TCU. Comment said that Jimmy Smith leave after seeing the talent and realized he needed to have more job security. Why would you bounce after 2 days of spring ball?
This has been coming for weeks, couple months now. Matt's been posting about it. He's had interviewed 3 other places, after the season ended. So, like, they knew that this was coming. It was just a matter of when he would be announced at another school, which is then why we saw the quick hire of Colby Smith to replace him. Right. It was already lined up. One had to happen before the other happened. So this wasn't something that was just now, yes, I do question. He was at practice that morning for Arkansas, but that's just a coach being a coach. He's not going to leave him high and dry until he's officially announced for his other school. Right.
So his name can get slandered. Say he didn't show up for his job. It's job abandonment. You know how that shit go. And it's big money stuff. So he got to play it right. So that's interesting. We talked about that. He was like, wait a minute. So when I heard the rumor, and then I got confirmation, and I said, well, why would they hire somebody during the spring period? So I did some research. So come to find out, TCU's running back coach got the job at USC, Southern Cal. So he was hired on by Lincoln Riley at Southern Cal. I also found out Southern Cal also hired a guy from the Rams. I think he was a running back coach, a running back coordinator, running game coordinator. And then he ended up going to coach the defensive line at USC. I see him all on YouTube hugged up with Aaron Donald with a USC shirt on. If that ain't marketing and advertising, I don't know what it is. You mean to tell me right in your backyard you got Aaron Donald, one of the biggest guys in the game as far as being a defensive presence, and you coaching defensive line? That's not recruiting? Either way it go, I'm not mad at Jimmy Smith for taking a job. I'm mad that they didn't do their due diligence to try to secure him to stay. Now, I wish I would have did my research on this, but I do know one thing. Jimmy Smith is the last original member of the original coaching staff when Pitt took the job. Everybody else is gone.
Scott Fountain.
Yeah.
Does he count though? I mean, come on.
Scott Fountain.
I was seeing if the mafia was behind me.
Yeah.
Hey, DP, let me ask you this about Jimmy. Do you think, since this has been coming for a while, do you think that Jimmy saw early on that his style and the new offensive coordinator style were not going to jive?
Not by
Like
the, not by
they were not going to have the
the-
same philosophy.
That's possible.
possible.
Because I mean, we all know how Bobby is, and this is an older, wiser, more mellow Bobby, but there's still some BMFP in there. Okay,
There you
Is
go.
there? Is there
There
though?
it is.
I think there is.
Because we got the players on Instagram videos calling him Bobby.
Call him Bobby.
I mean,
The disrespect.
I mean, Grandpa
I feel
boils
like that's
people
a
out
bit.
a little bit. You know,
I
being
feel like that's a
grandpa,
bit
It's
disrespectful.
early. Wait
Yeah.
till something's meaningful happens.
Because he's
You're
even
gonna
got.
see him all blood red and everything.
There's even
yelling.
former players coming out like, what? Like, y'all out here calling him Bobby? Like, I mean, DJ Williams was shocked.
Yeah, he was. I seen his. I think he was on IG or something like that.
Yeah,
He did a response to it. Yeah, very very thought provoking. The fact they had all that energy to be laughing and giggling and calling the coach by his first name after spring ball.
is that also the difference of him being OC versus being in the big chair?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lot of it. I mean, he doesn't have to focus on the big picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's been what, 12 years?
Yeah.
So
now we're coming up on the anniversary of the fateful motorcycle ride.
Motorcycle gate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's interesting to say the least. Teresa made a comment. Y'all know I gotta get these Teresa comments in here. Teresa, I'm telling y'all, Bobby is building his empire. And interesting to that comment, I want to say this: nobody's talking about Sam Pittman. That's interesting to me.
But you know what I saw from the spring practice that was actually, it was a post somebody had made, was we saw in this spring practice, what was Sam Pittman doing? He was coaching the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
He was standing in front of offensive line drills and coaching them with Mateos. Where has that been? But now he's got another head coach like he had in Barry Odom.
Yeah.
That he can get decisions made for him, or that conversation, advice, whatever it may be. Like we talked about the other night on the phone, DP, like with the Colby Smith hire.
Mm-hmm.
It's an easy hire. It's a guy that's been with Bobby. And it's somebody that if this season doesn't pan out, and when I say that, pan out for Coach Pittman, and there's a regime change, it's one of those things. I don't think that Colby Smith will have much effect on this season. If they get past this season, then it's a different story, because then you're getting into the recruiting and the whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But if halfway through the season or the end of the season, Pittman's fired, I mean, you're potentially going to see everybody else go unless they make Bobby Petrino the new coach after Pittman.
And because we love to recycle.
To that.
We are the Captain Planet of college football. We are some recycling son of a guns. Look, at the end of the day, my question is, I wonder with the new running back change of coaches, is there a possibility that somebody dips after spring practice? I know we heard information. Somebody asked a question about somebody else. But I wonder if the running back room is one of the people that may be considered to ask to go elsewhere. Will there be any changes in the running back room after spring? Is there a possibility?
Well, I know there's rumors of a couple, but I don't know if they're running backs. I don't know who they are.
Right.
I know Braylon Russell put out a tweet after Jimmy Smith left that was just, basically like all love, picture of them two. So, I don't think I hope that it wouldn't be Braylon Russell.
His dad was too happy for him to play for Bobby.
Yeah.
He ain't going. I mean, he's an Arkansas kid. I think he's all Arkansas. I don't really think anybody would really dip. I mean, Augusta, he ain't going nowhere. He's the future. So
I don't think Dominion's going anywhere.
Dominion's flat out said like he's here to stay. Like, cause he's the one that put out last year, or I guess in the off season, that he hates the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
So, all the speculation, the guy's leaving, he was just like, no, this ain't for me.
Yeah, that's our two few backs going forward. I mean, they've had flashes, especially Dominion early on, the year before, but last year no running back was going to look good because nobody was blocking that well for them. So nothing in the back behind the line is going to do well. I think we'll see an improvement, and you'll see a lot of quick hitters, and we'll see some wheel routes from the running backs instead of just running to the flat and try to get some chunk plays finally.
I don't want to get too overhyped because it's only been a few days in spring practice and everything's happy-go-lucky right now, and we still got spring ball. But DP and I also talked about this on the phone. Is that every single year,
the Kool-Aid sipping.
The whatever program, doesn't matter if it's football, but mainly football because where they've been at, we start seeing these videos. We're pumping out these videos for everybody to see. Everybody's getting hyped. It's supposed to be, so much better than last year. Everything's happy-go-lucky. I'm just saying, don't get let down and don't get your hopes hurt. Like I see all these comments about Taylon Green already being, I think some people are just trying to knock KJ, but talking about where he's at, like, oh, he's light years ahead of where KJ was. And I'm like, it's been 2 days. They've been in spring practice for a few days. And we're coming out and saying this, like we're trying to pump ourselves up just to potentially get let down. Like that happens all the time. I'm not coming off my 3-9 predictions, by the way. So it is what it is.
All right. So boom, we're in the spring game, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're having a conversation about the spring game and who gonna do what. They came out with the depth chart. Of course, I think those are projections. I think those are people who coach feel like they may give us the best chance to win, and basically it's their position to lose. If someone out competes them for their position, so be it. Shout out to my guy Hood Island. Y'all see Hood Island on there?
Hey, who's his boy now?
Who?
You got Hud and Cud Island now.
That's so
what?
corny.
Is it though? Bet it's gonna catch on.
Don't put it on a t-shirt, why don't you?
And this, why be a fan if you don't have hope for the upcoming season? What's the point? I get that. I get that thought. I truly do. And it's not that I'm trying to sit here and talk shit on the team and downplay. We've been let down so many times that I'm going to wait for them to get on the field against an actual opponent before I start, singing their praises. That's all it is.
Yeah. I know y'all seen Shawshank Redemption, right?
Favorite movie of all time. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's Red's line about hope? Hope is a dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, and I'm going to add MC's addendum to that. Hope is a dangerous thing, especially when it comes to Razorback sports.
Mm-hmm.
Loki said, "Hey, Loki just said something. Go ahead. What you got? I'm gonna get on another comment."
That's my dude, Loki.
He said, "You can be a fan and still be realistic." Loki, I wish you was with us on our first show because we broke down the types of fandom there are.
Mm-hmm.
And I quoted myself as a realist. Like, I really can't get upset that you in your feelings, dude, bro, for the Razorbacks, they're going to go undefeated. The hell with that.
And it doesn't make you a true fan or not a true fan, people. So stop with all that.
I hate
right.
the true fan.
You got optimistic fans who just hope for the best, and we all want to see them do well. At the end of the day, when I see what I see, when I see the offensive line getting whooped in spring practice, that's a problem. When you tell me that Landon Jackson is a grown man and all of a sudden I don't see him in spring practice making a real deal plays, even though it's not contact.
It's because he's over on the sideline.
Yeah,
he's over running 22 miles an hour.
Yeah, 22 miles an hour. We rated about 22 miles per hour, and I didn't see none of that from Satania or Jackson. I'm just looking like, miss me with the crap. I know it gives Arkansas media opportunity to write articles. That's their job. I get it. They're doing their job. But a lot of this stuff, you got to take it with a grain of salt. And when you hear these things and actually see it translate on the field, that's when you get excited. And when you start seeing it more than once, that's when you really get pumped to say, maybe there's some consistency here, and these guys can really make it happen. So,
well, and how many of these dudes in the media, you said it's their job to write stuff. How many of these dudes are going to write stuff that's negative? How many of them are going to come out and say, man, these dudes,
nobody,
damn, this year.
You're going to lose access.
They're not going to do that. They're
They're
not
going to
going
write
to do that.
a
Then-
clickbait headline, and then they're going to write a whole article that dances. I mean,
There's
they're going to get
$7.99 a month subscriptions you got to sell, man. I mean, come on.
Facts. That's their job. I get it. I'm not mad at them.
Yeah, I mean, they got do what you got to do to do your job, but the people that are reading it, y'all need to pump the brakes a little bit. And hey, I'm the world's worst when it comes to hoops. I mean, I was looking at flights to Phoenix this year after they beat Purdue. I mean, I'll own it. I'll own it.
Yeah.
And then when they beat Duke, I went back and looked at them again.
Well,
So
and don't come
you
after
know.
people too when they don't tell you who their sources are. Watch out now.
Not the sources. All right, guys. We were an hour and 7, man. I mean, we've been really going.
Steve.
Had to do it.
Had to do.
You had to do it. I was hoping you were gonna get it in there. I hope you was gonna get it in there.
There's another one too. Still, I mean,
Gotcha. But hold on, before we get going, I did see a comment earlier when we talked about women's basketball.
oh,
And I
Talia
said,
Scott.
Yeah, Talia Scott. So you want to chime in on that?
Yeah.
I know you
So,
spoke highly of her.
well, and we talked about her. I think a show or two ago, maybe a couple
Correct.
shows, few shows. So she was out with the back injury, and then she came back for a couple games. Still wasn't herself. Went back out. My assumption, and again, this is no source. This is no nothing. It's just my assumption on how things have played out. And yes, I have some PTSD when it comes to the Arkansas transfer portal, but I see somebody who was posting regularly on her Instagram and other social media outlets that has since gone dark in that aspect. And the injury, the not playing, the kind of quietness from the coaching staff on it, and then her IG going dark and whatnot. I'm just kind of looking at it with the way that this season went, that she might be gone. That's somebody that we might be looking at going to the transfer portal. Do I want it to happen? No. I mean, she was leading scorer in the SEC before she got injured,
Right.
early. I mean, so it's somebody you can't afford to lose.
I mean, she was getting some dark horse freshman of the year talk at one
Mhm.
point
Correct.
just because of the way she was playing. And I mean, my God, it's no wonder she injured her back as much as she carried this team this year. Because she did, man. She was
I see what you did there. I like that.
she was good, man. I mean, she was balling.
She had family issues right after an injury. So hey,
Mhm.
maybe it's personal, maybe it's off the court, maybe everything is good on the basketball front with or without Coach Neighbors. Like I say, he could follow
That's
out
definitely a
the social-
factor too.
Yeah. So you never know. You never know. I just know at some point somebody leaving, they were like, it's all about the money. NIL is running the game. Stay off my lawn. I know. I get it. All right. MC.
Yo.
Before we get out of here, man, first of all, we definitely appreciate you joining us tonight, man.
Man,
It
this
was a
was
great
fun.
show. Shout out
Fun.
to you. Inside the Hog Pen is where you can be watched. Shout out to your viewers and followers. They tapped in these comments.
Appreciate
Loki
that.
was one person I seen all the time.
Yeah.
So shout
Loki's
out
our
to you,
dude, man. Loki handles a lot of our social media for Inside the Hog Pen. And you talk about the live show Wednesday night at 7:00. We also, if you miss a live show, get on your favorite podcast provider, because after every show, I go and make a podcast version of it. You can get on Apple. You can get on pretty much anywhere you can get a podcast, with the exception of Google, because they went nuts with their setup. Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, everywhere. You can go find, just search Inside the Hog Pen, HAWG.
Gotcha.
We have to spell it that way or we'll get in trouble.
Mhm.
Yeah, we
Whereas us, we don't monetize. So
we do it for fun until somebody cut the check.
Yep.
but
Like-
Loki
like
is
the
also
good people-
bringing us full
Yeah,
circle
like the
here
good
with this
people.
comment.
Yeah, like the good people who make these chips and you mix with the flaming hot. But go ahead, what you got?
No, Loki's comment to bring us full circle.
Right.
Look,
regardless
regardless of
how
oh no, go ahead.
you want to read,
No,
We
you
want to
can't.
read it all in unison.
it's
Oh,
a
wait,
round
wait.
robin.
But Sarah, MC's co-host, Sarah, would like to know why ain't her name up there. Well, Sarah,
Well,
on
Sarah, you didn't
StreamYard,
give us your name. It just says Facebook user. So
so on StreamYard on Facebook, there's something you have to go to give StreamYard permissions, or it doesn't show the name.
which is why we always see Teresa's name usually with us, and then Loki has already did his due diligence, which is why his name popped up. Other than that, I'm reading comments and it just says Facebook user and no picture on the side. So we say this often, and people still be like, okay. And then when the show come on, they just be like, why come my name isn't on there? Yeah. It is what it is. MC, once again, thank you for jumping on with us. And once again, you're a real guy, man. You know how to plug yourself in. But yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. I was gonna ask you, how can people follow you and look at your content, man? So
there we go.
Definitely appreciate you jumping in there. Sir, this one.
That one.
Yeah, you got anything you want to say? We gotta check somebody about sources? What we doing?
My sources come from the actual horse's mouth. So yeah. And so if you saw my post, that's the news, because it's gonna happen.
It is time to stop pointing fingers. Finger pointing gets us nowhere. Steve.
He had to do it.
All right.
All right. So look, with that being said, guys, we are ran over an hour. We definitely appreciate everybody for chiming in on these comments. If you catch this on a replay, I love to chap in tomorrow. I like to be anonymous. Great show, fella. Yeah. So I will tap in tomorrow on these comments. If anything that we missed or missed a comment, I will definitely interact with you in these comments. We appreciate you guys for joining us. Once again, we on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. You can always check us out on a replay. Other than that, we'll be back next Sunday to give you guys another show.
Peace.
Peace.
We out.